It looks like it looks like a proper full stop,
Very
right?
boilerplate announcement, He probably has gone Googled for retirement announcements, copy pasted some things here there. Seriously, very
Lorem
boilerplate.
Ipsum Dorem Biryani.
Lorem Ipsum 3D. Yeah.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
What's common to a popular non-IIT engineering college near the desert and the sun sign symbolized by a fish? Well, it's bits and PCs. That's right, we are back taking a little more poetic liberty than we should with episode 19 of the friendliest cricket podcast. And we, as always, have a heady assembly of friends, Romans, and countrymen. Starting with the Roman in the mix today, it's not Roman Powell, but it is our own Javagal Srinath, who has blazed his own Sripath to glory and landed not in Rome, but in Switzerland. Close enough. Say hello, Srinath. How are you?
It's proper poetry, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's very, very good.
Great to have Srinath back on the pod. It's been a while. I said we have an assembly of friends, Romans, and countrymen. I, Nitin Sundar, happen to be the friend in the mix, and a Mallu one at that. And hence, I don't say countryman. I instead invite to the pod our one and only, the Kendryman. Say hi, PGK. How are you doing?
That is very nice. I was waiting to see if you would do countrymen in the beginning or country Ken at the end. But nice.
Oh,
I really like this. This was brilliant.
PGK, as always, on the ball, he's seeing where the puck is going to go. He's like, even deciphering terrible punts before they land. That is a special skill, for sure. We have a lot to talk about today and a lot not to talk about. We will get to the IPL. There is no escaping it. But before that, firstly, let's talk about key happenings in international cricket, guys. Let's talk about this extremely nice guy, seen as a paragon of virtue in the sport. He had a short and very influential stint as an international captain, led his team in an unforgettable, if not entirely successful World Cup campaign. He played the very first game of the IPL back in 2008, and no one can forget it. And he is now a left field, unexpected appointment as an international coach for a team going through massive crisis. Let's talk about Rahul Dravid, guys. So yeah, we'll come back to Rahul Dravid later, but everything that I said is also true of Brendon McCullum, who has, of course, famously been appointed as the coach of the English Test team. Thoughts, guys? With Ben Stokes as captain and now McCullum as coach, are England going to finally stop losing?
Oh, yeah, big topic to get started with. I mean, I really like the appointment because they were going for all the usual international coach merry-go-round candidates, Graham Ford and Gary Kirsten and all these people. I'm glad they've gone for something that is seen as very left field, right? Like English media generally, English cricket generally tends to get its pants in a twist with these kind of appointment. Like you're like, this guy's never coached a first-class team. He's never done a red ball stint ever. But like, dude, properly influential captain will work well with Stokes. Very interestingly, Stokes and McCullum have this past history where both of them could have been All Blacks playing for the New Zealand rugby team. Now they're united as... yeah, Stokes is from New Zealand, also played rugby, same for McCullum. Yeah, good to see them come together. I'm pretty kicked about it because as the cliche goes, Test cricket needs a strong fill in the blank, and that includes England as well. So there you go.
I mean, look, honestly, I just think that, does anyone really think that England's problem is that they don't have the right coach? Does anyone think that England's problem is that they don't have the right captain? They don't have batsmen. They have not had batsmen for like 20 years. So there hasn't been a single England batsman in the last 20 years other than maybe
Peterson,
Cook,
man,
who has been able...
Kevin Peterson.
Come on. Fair. Peterson, all right, fine. Peterson, all right. But we all know that Peterson did not really grow up playing in England. Like, he grew up playing in South Africa. So, of course, he came to England. But I'm saying that the problem is, everyone knows that the problem is that England pitches, England system, England county. I mean, that is where, and that has been going on for decades. And that is what is preventing them from creating like great bowlers and great batsmen who can consistently win them games outside England. I don't see how McCullum can change that. Although there's one good thing, which is that McCullum can probably influence that because New Zealand was in a very similar place maybe around some 8-10 years back, where their pitches were all... They always used the word spongy with New Zealand pitches. Only with New Zealand pitches. All New Zealand pitches are spongy. I never understood what this meant. They're like, it's spongy. Okay. And now if you see, New Zealand pitches apparently are like way faster, and there are many types of pitches. That's why you have like an Ajaz Patel coming through, and that's why you have like all different types of bowlers and batsmen that are fairly versatile. So if McCullum is able to like beat up a few groundsmen and make that happen, okay, good. That's nice. But I don't expect change to happen.
I think there's like several underrated aspects of where England's gone to the Dogs, right, in the last couple of years. So first, Silverwood was appointed because he was assistant to the previous coach. Then they made him chief selector. They removed the entire selection panel. Okay, no one does this. Chief selector, head coach, everything, and you're playing 12 months a year. And obviously Joe Root decided to stay on like a proper Dhanier move. He refused to be cowed away. So he didn't leave. And whatever, like there was no director of cricket since Strauss left. So like all of this stuff, and I agree, I mean they're a massive system which has lots of problems, like PGK said. So now they're trying to fix that one by one. White ball, red ball, split, good for them because they keep playing all year.
Your Chris Silverwood reference reminded me of The Office. Assistant to the general manager. It makes him the Dwight Schrute of cricket. And you could say that the entire England team is functioning a bit like Dundler Mifflin, right? Quite
it's
dysfunctional,
parallel,
must be said.
And you can make a staying alive joke as well. So
McCullum as coach, it's a bit of an insult to say he is not coached first class teams. So Kolkata Knight Riders is a first class team. Of course, it's not a red ball team. First class. But he's had a terrible time as the Kolkata Knight Riders coach. In fact, his trysts with leadership outside of New Zealand have actually been with Kolkata. Famously back in the fake IPL player season, he was one of the many multiple rotating captains. And I think he was the guy left with the carcass at the end of it, right? Like after the whole thing bombed, I think through that terrible season that they had, McCullum was the one leading them, and the entire team was one collective zombie that he was leading. Not very different from how KKR is faring this year. I have a theory about McCullum though. He probably doesn't fare too well in these leadership roles if he is under the scanner a lot. In New Zealand, obviously, he could do what he wanted. I don't know if the England job will be, as easy for him. But we'll find out.
I'm fully waiting for my entire impression of McCullum during the KKR stint was that he just seems to have like some kind of absurd standards with batting, fielding, etc. And if he just wants people to get there, and if he doesn't, then he just sulks and sits there and passive aggressively like wants people to get there. So I'm just waiting to see. In the one-off test, I expect McCullum to walk out and say, screw this nonsense, I will bat myself. Okay, and come on and just like play. But yeah, it'll be good. Let's see what happens.
It was his last test innings where he scored that fastest 100, whatever, against Australia.
The thing with McCullum is, as a player, he's actually gone through a lot, right? Like this whole Ross Taylor-McCullum fight when they became captain. There was this big controversy and everything. First match, if I remember right, when he took over, they got all out for some 50 or 45 or something like that. In
47 or something,
in South Africa. So I think that innings also included Ross Taylor in the dressing room. It was proper shambles, and from there he made that couple of really good years for New Zealand as captain, including that 300. I think he was the captain, right, when he made triple 100 against India, and finally I think they beat England in 2015 or something in England, which I think was after a long time. So, yeah, I mean, he's done a fair bit of leadership stuff within quotes. Yeah.
But he was the captain when they went to the finals in 20.
Yeah, he was.
Yes. Right. And famously got out trying to hit Mitchell Starc for a 6 of the
Correct.
third ball of the match. Went down the track and lost his stumps. But that's the way he played the entire World Cup. Good luck to Brendon McCullum. I think the biggest impact of his appointment is that it is going to be a little more difficult to hate the England team, because McCullum is someone who's universally loved. I think all of us do love him. It'll be tough to hate that team so much. So let's see what they bring together. we have, of course, not been watching too much of the IPL, but there is enough of it happening on Twitter. And the most recent stuff that has happened is the comedy around Ambati Rayudu and Chennai Super Kings. So
Tell us
Ambati
about
Rayudu,
it. Then tell us what's happening with Chennai Super Kings and Ambati Rayudu for our wonderful listeners.
Let me try and read out that tweet if I can.
I like how it is so complicated that even after reading it, okay, chances are we may not be able to explain it, but let's try anyway.
So this is the tweet from Ambati Rayudu, and this was tweeted at 12:46 p.m. today, and that's about 3 hours back, less than 3 hours back. I am happy to announce that this will be my last IPL. I have had a wonderful time playing it and being a part of two great teams for 13 years. We would love to sincerely thank Mumbai Indians and CSK for the wonderful journey. Right, so he's happy, he's sincere, and it looks like it looks like a proper full stop.
Very
right?
boilerplate announcement, he probably has Googled for retirement announcements, copy pasted some things here there. Seriously, very
Lorem,
boilerplate.
Ipsum, Dorem, Biryani.
Lorem Ipsum 3D. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The timing is, of course, you couldn't fault him for the timing. CSK's season
And to be fair to Ambati Rayudu has decided, listen, I'm not going to have any controversy over here. I'm going to cover all my bases. I'm going to say I'm happy to announce. I'm going to make sure I thank Mumbai Indians as well, just in case somebody there says that, hey, listen, you played for Mumbai as well. No, I don't want to seem ungrateful. Let me thank everybody. Let me make this a clean break. And I will do it now, before the season is over, so there is everyone knows it and it's just quiet.
These things are very famous. These are foretellings of what is going to come, right? Like tweets that precede fortunate events, right, for people. So Parthiv Patel, I think, announced his retirement middle of a season or before a season. Next day, Mumbai Indians keeping coach or mentor. That's all. Just move straight.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what
and I like that Ambati Rayudu clearly has spent some time and effort thinking about this, because Ambati Rayudu has had a controversial career. Like, if you look at early Ambati Rayudu career, there has been a lot of whispers and people saying how, he's actually very difficult to work with and he's not a professional. And if I'm not wrong, didn't Ambati Rayudu also play in the ICL?
Yes,
and then get the amnesty banned. And he was banned, and then he comes. So he understands, I have always made trouble in the past. Let me not make trouble now. Let me just go out quietly and let me be dignified about it. And hopefully this is how people will remember me. And then what happens?
The interesting thing about, of course, Rayudu in retirement also is, even before this, is already a tryst that has been going on for a while.
Yeah, there was a 3D retirement also. Yes, you were talking about the 3D retirement. I forgot about that altogether. Wow. So clearly this is like a draft that is lying in his inbox. So
so his two retirement tweets have actually spanned the the spectrum of happiness, one should say. Because the first tweet was in complete disgust, anger and disappointment at having been left out of India's 2019 World Cup squad. Of course, Vijay Shankar famously was picked in Rayudu's stead, and because he was a three-dimensional player, Rayudu was considered to have only one or maybe two dimensions. This one was a very, very happy tweet, right? And like PGK said, he hoped that, this is something that you just go into the ether, happy, warm feelings, play a couple of games, maybe get a guard of honor, get denied a strike by Dhoni one last time before he, waddles off into the sunset. But that's not what happened. The tweet has since been deleted. And I believe CSK has come out with a statement saying, no, Rayudu has not retired. We have unretired him. Apropos of our decision from India Women's headquarters, Ambati Rayudu shall continue to be an unretired player.
CSK are basically playing this as an IPL auction on Twitter, right? Like, this guy puts something, like, paddle is up. Like, what legends.
And Ambati Rayudu's tweet has been deleted. So now Ambati Rayudu is also like, dude, what is this? Can I just go? What is this entire retirement? Please let me go.
CSK have been doing this now, right? There is one player who wants to play one last time in Chennai and retire. They're playing him everywhere else. There is one player who potentially is the best player in their squad. They made him captain, and then I don't know what happened to him, but Ravindra Jadeja has disappeared for all practical purposes.
He's not even within the team now. They sent him out of the bubble and all that. He's probably back home.
He is playing with his horses, which is probably better than what his teammates are doing on the field, right?
So the family-friendly podcast, I'd like to repeat, there's no hidden meaning there.
Well, of course, but it is horses for courses, of course.
And practicing push buttons. We should add.
CSK have obviously had a very bad auction. Safe to say now. It was safe to say this 4 years back when they came back with the same old dad's army. But they then went on to win that IPL and confounded everyone. It was safe to say it again last year, but they again came back with the same dad's army who are now granddad's army, and they won it one more time. After that, I think everyone shut up and said, we don't know what's going on with that team. These guys will continue playing. But now, I think it's safe to say that this era is over. And next year, they're going to have dregs of this team. They're going to be forced to play some new faces, ultimately.
The really interesting part now is that as a result of this entire nonsense where somebody who wants to play for CSK and was seen as the captain is now out, someone who does not want to play is now in, and there is Dhoni in the middle of all this and no one knows what Dhoni wants, and it doesn't look like they don't have any successors right now. So Dhoni is going to remain the captain for like the next 3 years or something until the next mega auction comes. Really, who else are they going to give the captaincy to?
I don't know, man. Like, just
it's a good point. Simarjit
Rituraj
Singh,
Gaikwad, is it? No way.
Uthappa is
Uthappa. Just the founder of youth that you need to.
He's
put
the
the
right
team
age
out of
to
its
become CSK
misery.
captain. Just hitting mid-30s.
CSK.
Perfect.
I bet right now Uthappa is in one room with the CSK management. Please let me go. Please, I want to go home now. No. You have to stay here. Don't. Give me your phone also. Let's delete Twitter.
It's a sad state of affairs at CSK. Hopefully they will get their act together. They have a couple more games. We believe they're at the bottom of the table, having lost to Mumbai Indians as well. Like that really has to be the final.
Boss, I watched highlights, and beautifully the IPL website kept this bit in the highlights. Last ball of CSK's innings. Very much like watching one of these police charity legends game sort of things.
Exactly. It was literally, as they say, village cricket.
There's one bouncer that goes over Dhoni's head, right? So Dhoni does well left to the bouncer and starts running to the other end. It's clearly a wide for overhead, whatever height and all. Then the other guy starts running. Ishan Kishan has hit direct hit. Umpire can't even be bothered to signal wide because they're all out, right? So it's like no run for you.
No. Let me add some more color. Okay, so in this game, what happens is Chennai just go into complete collapse. Okay, now Chennai has been collapsing, but this is an utter collapse where Dhoni comes out to bat in I think the 8th over or 9th over or something. So they're already like 5 down, 6 down. Okay, and by the time it is like the 14th over, they are 9 down. Right? And they're like some 85 for 9 or something like that. And so in the 15th over, and this is just when commentators are like gearing up for Swiggy, what is that Swiggy Instamart, that fastest 5. Okay, at that point in time. So the last ball of the over, 14.5, the last ball of the over, ball a bouncer, and Dhoni just sees the ball go past him and he sprints straight to the non-striker's end. And the reason he's sprinting to the non-striker's end is because he wants to keep strike in the next over. Now there are 5 overs left, right? You don't need to bolt like this, but he bolts. And he bolts, he reaches the other end and turns around and sees.
Mukesh,
I don't know who the number 11 was. It Mukesh? I don't know who it was. I think it was Mukesh. God, I don't even remember the names now. Okay, so I think it was Mukesh someone. Okay, so he doesn't reach in time and he's out by a distance. Distance as in like he's like somewhere in the middle of the pitch. Like when they do, then the umpire, of course, because umpires are now going up for third umpire for all this shit. But for no balls, they can't go. But for this, they go up to the third umpire. When the third umpire comes, you can just see as the bails are being removed, the bat is like entering the camera. The camera is just starting to see the toe end of the bat. And so he was that out. He wasn't even close. And Dhoni reaches the other end, and by the time, so Dhoni has reached the other end, he turns around and watches him get run out. And Dhoni is like glaring at him. Like, I ran from here to there. You couldn't come. You should have started running right from the beginning. And of course, he had no idea what was going on. And then Dhoni just like storms back into the pavilion, and Chennai, of course, end up losing. Of course, you would think that Mumbai would have coasted through, but no, Mumbai also tried to lose a little bit in the middle. They said, let's also give away 5 wickets. Right? Let's give away 5 wickets for like 40 runs and then make this a little more interesting.
A customary low score for Rohit Sharma, who is... What do we say? What do we say about Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli anymore about the IPL? I think each of them has added 1 or 2 more ducks in the last week.
Kohli had some 20 runs, man. It's more than last 2 weeks combined.
He's gone from looking shocked to sad to now, it's just a resigned smile. I think the next time he gets out for a duck, he'll start laughing like a maniac or something.
Smile, it was resigned smile. Yesterday, if you see, it was prayers. Like, it was after he got out, he
Thanks, I got
walking back. Yeah, no. When he's walking out, he has both of his hands up and he's like actually talking to the gods and all. So now you know, like he's now going to embrace religion. Okay, in some more time, this is where it's going. Okay, Kohli has now reached this point. As they say, I do not recommend Virat Kohli for sheer comfort and long life. So at this point, you know the weirdest part about Kohli, right? The Kohli's wickets is that I'm pretty sure that by now there is like a WhatsApp group of all captains basically just to discuss how to get Kohli out, because it's not even like they make him out in the same way each time. It's like every time they find a different way and it always looks like a plan. And somehow I feel like admin of that group is Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson just knows how to do it, right? Like if you see there are two SRH matches, both
Two
SRH
first
matches,
bowlers.
But did you see the way he gets him out? Both times could not be more different. The first time it was Kohli's batting and then he's like, okay, he gives it to Marco Jensen and says, come around the wicket and bowl just like on the fifth stump line. I'll keep like a slip. And then he stands there and it goes to slip. And then everyone is like, oh my God, Kane knew it. Kane understands. This is what Kohli is going through. He comes in this angle. Brilliant. Next match, you would think, again, he would do the same thing. But no. Kane is like, here, who is the spinner in this team? There is no spinner in SRH. There are absolutely no spinner. They're like, what? Who does he get? Suchit.
Who is coached by Muthaiya Muralitharan.
Muthaiya Muralitharan. Yeah, okay. They have four fast bowlers and no spinners. They catch that one spinner whom they must have taken from like Hyderabad station and said, listen, you bowl here. Just bowl at this point. And Kane is standing there. Kane is like, I know he will hit to me. I'm standing in mid-wicket. You bowl, sir. Don't worry. He bowls correctly. Kohli hits and goes to Kane. And Kane is like, I told you. This is what is going to
Yesterday, man, like they have Rabada and all these, fast bowlers. Arshdeep, top of his form. Harpreet Brar is opening the bowling because Kohli is on strike. Like that is what it has come to, right? Left arm spin, first over.
I was just imagining if that actually is a WhatsApp group, it must now be getting inundated with forwards from everywhere, because you can pretty much bowl anything now and get Kohli out, right? Like WhatsApp University can now get Kohli out.
Does anyone feel like RCB is very, very close to RC being? Like I just felt it after looking at the last match. Now, if you look at the table right now, the table is like in the top four, you have Gujarat, you have LSG, you have RR, and then you have these guys, RCB at 4. And then there is that line, you can see the table where they have that dotted line. And then right below that, you have like DC, KKR, all of this. And I'm looking at this and saying, I have seen this. I know this script. Okay, there are like 1 or 2 games left. And RCB, you go to the right and you look at their net run rate. They have the lowest net run. They're in negative 0.3 something. And I'm like, I know this. If I am an RCB fan, I know this script. 13 years, I have seen this. And there are 2 matches to go. They are not qualified. Some nonsense is going to happen. They're not.
It's a perfect summary of this IPL season. RR are the only past champions in the playoffs. That's what is going to happen, right? It's like nobody else has won anything.
RCB, though, over the years have consistently been in the playoffs quite a bit for a team that has absolutely never won. And they promptly lose, right? If they make it, they just scrape through 3rd or 4th and they lose at the first opportunity and exit. So it would be, playing to form whether they finish 4th or even if they finish 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So everything is RCB territory only. That entire area is RCB territory, to be honest. So I'm sure RCB will RCB this season.
It reminds me of that. You read that Osman Samyuddin has this amazing piece, I think it was for Wisden, on, it's called the Haal of Pakistan.
Yeah.
Which is a phenomenal piece about, and I'll just quickly describe it because of course Nitin and Srinath know about it. What it feels like because Pakistan is known for doing these like complete turnarounds when they are like bowling, especially when the opposition is chasing. They just get to this point where it looks like the game is coasting and it's over, and then suddenly they get like a wicket, and then there is this feeling like Samyuddin writes like it's like a tamasha that takes over. Like there is an entire thing that takes over. Everyone is like, oh, we know what's going to happen over here. We have seen this happen. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like unstoppable. And there's nothing anybody can do. It's like a force of nature. I feel RCB is like that. Right? They are in that point right now. This is that unstoppable force. I have seen this. RCB are not qualified. You heard it here first. They are not qualified.
It is the Haal of Pakistan, but it is the Haalath of RCB.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's the Chahal of RCB, but he's not there anymore. But yeah.
Yuzvendra Chahal bowled a beautiful ball at David Warner sometime last week. The ball spun past Warner, hit the stumps, the bail lifted off the groove, the lights came on, but the bail then fell back into the groove and Warner was not out, everyone had a cheeky smile. Warner went on to win the game for Delhi against Rajasthan. And this has, become a topic of discussion now. Sanjay Manjrekar has weighed in with his opinion. It would have been a wicket, deserving for Chahal, who bowled superbly, he said. It was a terrible shot from Warner, and it didn't get a wicket. Unless it's adding an aesthetic value, they should just get rid of the bails because they're completely redundant with LED technology. What do you guys
feel like if the quote that you just said were actually from the Bales about Manjrekar, it would still be true. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Except that there are no LED lights to replace Sanju with.
I think the whole thing goes back a few years, right? Like when they added these zinc bales, there was a bunch of obviously the LED stuff made the bales so much more heavier. And during the World Cup in England in 2019, there was like 4 or 5 times when batsmen, I think including Stokes once, ball Yorker properly hit the stumps and the bales didn't fall. So I do see his, but I don't know what the solution is, because like removing bales is all fine, but then the onus is on the umpire, right? Look at to get all 3 stumps in a line, and there's all of that stuff that the guy at square leg needs to do. There's a lot of work that needs to go, and the bales are not just an aesthetic function in that sense. So it's like so much more work for the guy on field, and I don't know if they're even good at what they do otherwise, that you're adding more work to the guys on field.
And what if the lights don't come on? Right? You never know, right? Sometimes the lights won't come on.
Yeah, like there's a power cut and no DRS, bales don't work, but
LED repair, sir. You have to go to Ritchie Street to replace it.
But there is also, you're right, it was the 2019 World Cup where suddenly it felt like, oh my god, the bales are not there. And only in cricket do you have debates that are extremely intractable and very, very nuanced and all of these weird topics. And look at this. And the thing I remember in 2019 World Cup was there was this huge debate on the solution where they said that what you have to do is you have to make the groove shallower. Right, and everybody was chiming in, right? Even I think Jimmy Isham and all was tweeting and saying, "Oh, there is something." He was actually tweeting really weird stuff, saying, "Oh, there is an accelerometer. So the accelerometer is there. Then the things have to be shallow." Like, wow, only in cricket can you have such a geeky discussion on 3 fucking sticks that are there with this thing. No, we will discuss this. We will destroy this thing and we will take it apart so that we make sure that everyone knows about it. As it is, DRS nobody understands. Now on top of this, you want to basically make this Bales thing.
But another famous commentator, or someone we like a little more, also weighed in, and this is what he had to say.
See, it's a catch-22 situation. Suppose I play the ball forward defensive, and it rolls on to the stumps at a very slow pace, touches it, and the bales don't fall off. Is he out or not out? Then the debate will start there as well. So, if you're looking from a bowler's point of view, you might say the lights have flashed.
And flashed hard. No, he didn't say that.
The rule that it has existed over 100 years, there's an element of, suspense. It's, whether it'll fall, not fall, that makes for, luck factor coming into play. See, if you have bales, then the bale should fall off.
Okay.
Then you say tomorrow, get rid of the bales, then go by the lights. Why change it? It's there for 100 years,
Absolutely.
Now that Sanjay Manjrekar has weighed in, now we know that the exact opposite is going to happen. Some bowler is going to bowl and the wind will blow and the bales will fall, he'll be given out. And then it'll be like, oh, they'll take Sanjay Manjrekar's tweet and put it there. It says, look at this idiot who said that we should not have bales. So, yeah.
And you know how Sanjay Manjrekar would then respond? He would say, you should look at what I said holistically, not just take bits and pieces of what I said and interpret it to your liking. There have been much more interesting things happening off field, in between overs especially. And we thought we'll spend some time talking about the ads that we've been seeing around the IPL, which have ranged from good, bad, ugly, ridiculous, and absolutely confounding, right? The entire spectrum of quality. Let's talk about your favorite ads or the least liked ads, whichever ads you want to talk about.
Okay, ads that I thought were good but are also starting to become slightly weird are the Dream 11 ads. Okay, so the Dream 11 ads actually, it seemed, there are 2 sets of ads, by the way, going on with Dream 11, right? So there is one set of ads which is the whole, they're telling like individual cricketers like in black and white,
stories.
telling some stories, right? And the stories are not bad because the thing is that
They've got the
they're basically-
likeness very well.
They've
for
got the
most of
likeness
players.
very well,
Yeah.
and the stories seem to have a certain amount of resonance as well. And maybe I'm a little biased, but they seem authentic. Doesn't look like they're scripted in a studio. I feel like there is some semblance of a truth in it, which obviously they may have stretched a little bit. It doesn't, like, for instance, if you look at, say, what Ashwin is saying, that, oh, there was this person who was giving soup outside stadium, and you're like, yeah, this is not something that you can make up sitting in a writer's room, right? There has
It's
to
a
be
real
some
story.
kind of
The
it has
soup
to be a real
was-
story
yeah.
that you are taking and doing something with it. So that's fine. But they're also now taking it to weird territories, right? So now the Dream 11 ad that I never understood is the one where they just pop up and they basically say, मैं ये कर लेता हूँ, तुम Dream 11 पे ये बनाओ, which used to be fine, where people would just like walk into the room where they're playing pool and they say, oh, मैं ये कर लेता हूँ, तुम. Now it is random. Now there is a pile of clothes. Suddenly from there, Rohit Sharma is popping out and saying, मैं ये कर लेता हूँ, and you're like, what is he doing? क्या कर लेते हो? What are you going to do? Ashwin randomly popping out of a cupboard, मैं ये कर लेता हूँ, तुम Dream 11 पे dream बनाओ. Oh, why are you coming out of a cupboard, dude? Why are you inside there? Even the Dream
Skeletons in
11
the
ad
cupboard,
with that
dude.
entire soup thing, the camera angles, it looks like they have to have some fun. So with Ashwin, it says this weirdest camera angle in the world where it is shooting from behind him. He's practically turning around his shoulder and he's looking right behind there and he's like staring into the camera. It's a very, very
It's called behind the scenes, dude. You're right. I think, yeah, the reason Dream 11 has two sets of ads is because they're targeting them to their, to the audience that they're going after. They are, after all, Kelo Demox. Anyway, my favorite moment in the Dream 11 ads is the one that ends with Hardik and Krunal, I think, dancing together like absolute songis. I don't have a better on the right half of the screen. Whenever I see that, I have a chuckle, right? So that's a good ad. The Spotify ads, of course, I think have hit the sweet spot, should be said.
I think it's important to this interlude is key because one, I don't know what you guys are talking about, and two, I'm really jealous that you have ads. I was just watching the only ad that's on television here, so I watched the IPL on Yup TV. So it starts off with giant loaves of bread, ham, some burgers and hot dogs and tomatoes and everything. Then it moves straight to some black tea, right? It starts off by saying, from the land of Darjeeling tea, from the land of, from the land of holy celebration, yeah? And then it goes to 3 different bronze boxes full of dosa batter, right? And then it says, are you looking for something new and healthy? And then it comes, garam dosa batter. This is the only ad I see. So, sorry to interrupt your interesting discussion.
International ads are like another level only. They're another trip only, clearly.
It is. Who was it that shared the Gavaskar ad with us? Was that you or was that
Murali, I think. Yeah.
So, for the benefit of our listeners, so Murali is, of course, our friendly co-host who happens to be in Portugal these days.
And who might be playing for Portugal national team very soon. Okay, we expect him to play.
He's been watching the IPL on whatever television stream that he has. And there is only one ad that plays after every over. And the star of that ad, drum roll, happens to be Sunil Gavaskar.
Like, I thought the whole point of commercial breaks was so you didn't have to listen to him during the break also, right?
So there is one, you have to put up with Gavaskar's commentary, then you have to put up with Gavaskar's ads. And the thing that drives Murali up the wall is he keeps messaging on the WhatsApp group is when Gavaskar calls a 30-yard circle into the 30-meter circle. And Murali is sitting in Portugal, surrounded by Portuguese people at a pub, screaming into the television, it is yards, it's not meters, you fool.
I'm really imagining this Portuguese pub where the IPL is being screened with Portuguese people watching it along with Murali. And he is like going off on a tangent on the metric system. Like, I totally, this should be fun. We should talk about the cred ads, guys. They've obviously taken the world by storm since the time Rahul Dravid appeared on screen, I think this time last year as Indranagar Ka Gunda. Are the cred ads working for you guys? Does cred work for you guys? Does cred work? Thoughts?
I mean, I've said this already. I think that there's only so much you can take 90s nostalgia and repackage it and make it eat its own ass until you finally get to a point where I don't understand this anymore. So, and I think they're like pulling it to the point where they intend to pull it for another 10 years until everyone who's associated the 90s stop being nostalgic. You forget what the 90s were like. You remember 90s as Anu Kapoor singing Cred Bounty. The whole Antakshari has gone out of your head. It just replaces your memory So I think it's just like going to get to a point where your entire normal people, my age, our age, whose memory of the 90s are going to get warped and confused, where we think, yeah, Venkatesh Prasad was in a boy band, wasn't he? So it's just going to go really, really weird.
That one I really liked. Yeah.
I mean, the original ones were nice, the initial ones were nice, but I feel like it's a formula that you can't like stretch on and on and on. Come on, guys, just do something else now, please.
But see, Karishma Kapoor in that detergent ad, right, buying an iPhone charger, they've got the production values like perfect, and I think they've got the same shopkeeper selling her detergent as well, or sorry, the iPhone charger. I do stop and watch every time that ad comes. I cannot take my eyes off Anu Kapoor when he shakes his tushy. It goes Kelo. I have no idea what that is.
Guys, I don't know if you know this. The 90s were not particularly nostalgic in general. Okay, it wasn't it's not an era where you look back and say, oh, that was such a wonderful time. Let's like replay that one more time. Not really. Okay.
Are you saying that the ads that are coming out today will be nostalgia worthy 15 years from now? Because do you actually imagine, your metal credit card and, your Spotify ads and whatnot, all the other fintech, edtech nonsense.
2042, people will be tripping on nostalgia about COVID. Okay, that's all. Doesn't matter.
And Rohan Gavaskar will be playing Sunil Gavaskar in a Jamaican accent. So we don't know.
Oh my God. Isn't that already happened in 1983? No, they did that with other players. But yeah. There is this ad, the Rupee ad featuring Ishant Sharma, which I think is a gold nugget, right? It is just amazing. Now we absolutely have to watch it together and unpack this ad. It's not just a nice ad. I mean, you can write a Twitter thread about this ad. Like, think about it. First, let's start from the beginning, right? The choice of brand ambassador. Nobody until now in the world has thought of Ishant Sharma as someone who can be used in an advertisement, right? I don't think he's featured in any ad. Even in those ads where IPL teams, do these brand partnerships where three players.
Yeah, you're right. He's in the background along with the trees and the towers in the background. He's standing there.
He's literally a tree, right? He's also tall enough to be a tree. And so he's not involved in the IPL, famously this time, as a player, as a coach, as whatever. I think Ishant has just receded. He's not playing county cricket either. He's not even Cheteshwar Pujara, right? So he's available. So they've gone and got him at dirt cheap for sure, right? They have taken the best parts of Ishant Sharma and made an ad out of it, right? They have used his voice extensively. So Ishant Sharma is bowling in a game. It's a day-night game. He's the bowler. The jersey has his name, but since there's a very quirky ad, his name is actually spelt in reverse, the way the ambulance is written on the ambulance, right? So the umpire, by the way, who sounds just like Tendulkar, which is the other thing. I think that is the first thing I noticed about this ad. The umpire has Tendulkar's voice for some reason. I don't know if that is an in-joke. He's also a short, slightly stocky fellow like Tendulkar, which so keeps the analogy going. The umpire has come panting to the play because it took time for him to pay a restaurant bill apparently, and hence he's late. He's narrating his travails to the non-striker.
वाह सर, आप भी रन अप लेकर आते हो? रेस्टोरेंट में कैश कम पड़ गया. कैश छोड़ो, रुपए करो.
And then he takes his position. Ishant Sharma runs in as the bowler and bowls. We don't see what exactly happens. I don't know if that was an editing flaw or they just didn't care at this point. We don't know what exactly happened. But Ishant Sharma turns around in a huge appeal. And this is where they've used the best part of Ishant Sharma, which is his voice. Cricket's most popular Adam's apple, leading to cricket's most abominable voice, I would say. And they've used it in all its glory, right? It's blaring like a foghorn. He goes, how's that? Right? Now you need to start noticing the small bits in this ad. Yeah? You should see what the batsman is doing. Normally, when an appeal is being made, the batsman is looking at the umpire with bated breath. Here, the batsman at the striker's end is walking away. He's just walking away and tapping. He's gardening the pitch and walking away. Okay? And Ishant and his teammates are doing all kinds of weird things in the background as well. It's an exaggerated appeal. Meanwhile, the umpire and the non-striker are having a conversation about the Rupee card and how that would have helped him pay his bill faster, right? And this ostensibly is the non-striker making a pitch to the umpire to get this product, and the umpire asking him, instead of actually responding to the appeal from the bowler, is busy responding, or rather, processing in his mind whether he should be getting the Rupee product or not.
रुपए सर, पेमेंट का स्मार्ट और इजी तरीका. कितना इजी? Just tap and pay.
So the appeal is getting louder and more desperate, right? Ishant Sharma turns into a Shaolin fighter in the middle. He turns into, you suddenly have these Chinese lights on top. He has a nunchak in his hand. At some point in the ad, he turns into, I think, a gladiatorial fighter.
And a pop singer, yeah.
He becomes a rock star in the end, and the speakers are on fire. And by the way, in each of these scenes, the background fielders are also changing into props in each of these worlds. So there is groupies in the back when he becomes a rock star. And there are other Shaolin monks doing, funky moves in the background when he's appealing. And in the last thing, when he's a rock star, the mic actually explodes, right? And all of that. The umpire finally learns everything about the Rupee product, and he finds it so good. And he's about to now give his verdict. And here comes Ishant Sharma's hangdog expression, where he's looking up like that with I don't know how to describe the smile on his face. He's convinced the umpire is going to give it out. It's a cute ass face that he has.
Endearing smile of Ishant Sharma.
Ishant has acted his pants off in this ad. Like if there is a Emmy or whatever for Indian ad, like Goa Fest, you have to send Ishant Sharma this time.
कहाँ मिलेगा? बस अपने बैंक को बोलो.
Right. Now, but here's the punchline, right? The umpire, you think the umpire is going to say it's out, but he instead says,
It's outstanding.
It's outstanding. The batsman has actually not been given out. Ishant actually registers disappointment at not getting the wicket, and then Rupee end product window.
I'm glad you did that whole spiel, Nitin, because in a real life IPL game, when the umpire reacts, Murli Karthik's voice takes over for the next over, right? So I'm glad you did that.
The most bizarre part is the product itself. This is a Rupee ad. Let's be clear. Rupee is not even a private company. Rupee is owned by the NPCI, which is the National Payments Corporation of India, which is a consortium of banks. Look at how shitty every individual bank ad is.
It's like one of those mutual fund ads.
Amphi.
Yeah, even look at how shitty individual bank ads are.
Oh yeah, there is an Ayushman Khurrana ad for the ICICI mobile banking that I just feel like uninstalling the app. I'm a user of that product. I feel like uninstalling it every time I see that ad.
So every bank ad is terrible, but somehow you take all bank consortiums and put them together, and you basically say, hey, now you make an ad about this product which is even more ambiguous, and suddenly they have a classic. What is this? What nonsense is this? This is like the anti-CSK. Okay, how does this even work?
The positive of all of this is I'm glad Ishant Sharma has finally monetized all his meme power, right? Like it's all random Twitter accounts has been just like milking him for years now. Finally, he gets to profit a little bit of it.
I hope this sows the seeds for a very lucrative career for Ishant Sharma as a brand ambassador. He has the who knows, he could become the next Ashish Nehra, right? Like nobody knew that Nehra had this quirky side of him that came to the fore in the last few years. Maybe that'll happen to Ishant. Fabulous ad. Another ad that caught my interest, not specifically because it's an interesting ad or anything, was Sachin Tendulkar endorsing Spinny. Just seeing Spinny is an app where you can sell used cars and sell and buy used cars presumably, and it's funny because you have Tendulkar in his usual voice saying "Jab gaadi khareed ke samay mein," something of that sort. It is quite funny. The moment I saw that ad and saw Tendulkar, I thought, okay, there is no tax to be paid if you buy a car through Spinny.
Ooh, well played.
I have to check the terms and conditions, but very good association. If that is what they were going for, really well played. By
the other most annoying thing is the large sheer number of Virat Kohli ads. So it's like, I'm sure if you are like an RCB fan or you're a Virat Kohli fan, it's really frustrating because you probably see more of Kohli in the ads than you see him on the pitch.
Yeah.
So it's like on the pitch you probably blink and you're like, oh God, 10 seconds, he's just there. But then of course, don't worry, you'll see Kohli for the rest of the match. Every ad break you're going to show Kohli to you so that you don't miss Kohli at all.
Talking of Kohli ads, there's one Kohli ad which has had me surprised throughout, right? So this is the Live Space ad, which is a service that you can use to design your bedroom, wardrobes, etc. They have Virat and Anushka Sharma acting in it, and there are some versions of the ad that has just Virat. The first thing you notice is that while they have Virat, they have him, wearing a turban. So he's playing a Sardar for some reason, and under that beard and the turban, it actually takes you a little extra moment to realize that it's actually Kohli. So you're not getting the bang for buck that you are actually going for by using him as the brand ambassador. I have no idea why they made that choice. Like, is Punjab a big market? Are Sardars the people who are buying this product? I don't know.
Sorry, this exact same thing happens with the PhonePe ad as well. If you see, when they have Alia or Amir, right? It is not apparent that it's Alia Namir. It's exactly the same thing. It takes you some time. In fact, you're looking at this and saying, is this Alia Namir? Are they? You're not sure yourself. It takes you some time and then later you realize this thing. Actually, the most bizarre one is that Ranveer Singh ad. Have you seen that Ranveer Singh ad? There is one really mental Ranveer Singh ad which keeps coming in where I don't even remember what the product is. He's of course dressed in some extremely ornate thing and he's
playing Ranveer Singh.
I thought you were talking about the Mumbai versus GT game, but yeah, this was basically peak Ranveer Singh.
That was a bad advertisement for cricket. Oh, I've not seen this ad before.
Are you thanking yourself? Thank yourself that all you can basically do is see Indian dosa and Indian batter and Indian vegan.
Hey, this was a good ad, man. I like this ad. But you should describe this ad, PGK. I saw it for the first time just now.
Look, I'm not going to describe this ad. This is just Ranveer Singh coming and getting an injection and just jumping around like a chicken and then finally talking about it. You don't even realize it's Ranveer. You don't know what is going on. It's just really bizarre.
I do realize it's Ranveer. It does look like Ranveer Singh doing Ranveer Singh things though. With Ranveer Singh, at least you can get away doing all this, right? Because unlike a Virat Kohli, he anyway looks like random every time you see him. So it fits in. The one line summary of that ad is that it is a fresh to home ad and it's ostensibly talking about the ill effects of antibiotics being pumped into chickens by pumping some antibiotics into Ranveer Singh, who is already very animated.
Who doesn't need it? Yeah,
quasi chicken after taking the shot, which is.
So my piece of content, which is my IPL highlight of the week, was watching Danish interview Kohli for his Mr. Nags show on RCB's channel. Basically, the biggest difference is with RCB, they've had their share of downs with Dan Christian and Kyle Jamieson banning some interviews with the great cricketer and so on. But some of this content and their ability to make fun of probably India's biggest superstar cricketer on their own channel is really, I think it's still endearing. They made a bunch of jokes about ducks and whether Kohli has pets. They made Kohli sing Old MacDonald had a farm and then said Virat Kohli lost his form, E-I-E-I-O. And it was really, really nice. I think, have you guys seen it? PGK?
I have watched it. I really liked it. I think what was really nice was I felt that they would not go too much and they'll skirt around the form thing and skirt around the ducks thing. But I feel like he's gotten at this point where even he's able to, he's also saying that, look, I don't even know what is going on. I'm just finding out new ways to get out. And this is just a phase I've never been through. And the reason I'm laughing at the end of all of this is that, okay, I guess I'm here now. This is where it is. So he's also fairly self-aware. But it's also a good thing because I guess any other kind of interview would have gone too deep and say, oh, what are you really feeling? What is going on in your mental mind? What is your state? And because it is Danish who's being a bigger fool literally in front of him, so the pressure is not on Kohli to talk much about it. And there's a very sweet story about Kohli going to Tom's Bakery in Bangalore.
That was nice.
Which I thought was very nice.
I did not know Anushka Sharma grew up in Bangalore and she's super familiar with various parts of the city.
Carmel.
Ah, okay.
RCB have done a good job over the years with their content play, for sure, right? And it's a very conscious choice the team has made. It's a very self-aware team. RCB is the one team over the years has been very aware of the comedy that has been associated with them and have sort of not shied away from it, right? I think even last year or the year before when they made the playoffs, there was this whole party that they had on a yacht or something.
Correct.
Which again was where Nags was making fun of the team. The team was also taking it away. Finally, we made it to the playoffs and this is great. And
I remember in that video when they were taking the flight to the playoffs that time, Nags was like telling Kohli, let's go back home now. Like, if we go back home now, we have won. It's over. What can anybody do? We cannot lose in the playoffs if you don't play the playoffs.
That was great.
So it is. You're right. It's a very self-aware team. Even after they lose, I think they basically they look at it and say, okay, fine, this is it.
Yeah, the dressing room stuff, not many teams do when they lose, right? Like these guys go into, when players are having dinner, Hessen speaks, Faf speaks, all of that stuff. So they don't seem to care.
On that note, funnily, one of the teams, I think when LSG lost one of their games recently, I think Gambhir gave them a dressing down and they put that out as content. I was like, what is going on? Why are you putting this out? He's like hosting the team. We did not leave it all out there. Today was bad. I don't mind losing. I hate it when we don't try. I'm like, dude, don't put all this out there. Right,
Meanwhile, there is like RR, which is still continuing to do all kinds of weird stuff. Like they have one of their sponsors is Happilo, which is on the front of the jerseys. Okay.
I've been wondering what Happy Low is until their ad came and
Yeah.
another surreal
Is
ad.
it candy or?
It's candy and it's dandy. I mean, yeah, it is some sort of candy. And there is an ad.
No, they also have other stuff. They have like some dry fruits and this. They have a bunch
yeah,
of stuff.
actually dry fruits.
It's dry fruits.
Yeah.
So they have this one thing where in the corridor of the hotel where there's this thing, they have like two teams playing kabaddi. And the thing that they're playing kabaddi with, not kabaddi, but what is that thing where you have like this object in the center and you're supposed to take it and come back to
Pitu.
your...
Dog and the bone.
Dog and the Bone, that is the one. They're playing
They play
Dog
that
and the
with
Bone, but
Happilo.
with Happilo products. So the Happilo product is in the center, and so there's Ashwin on one side and Chahal on one side, and they're trying to like take this and run back. So all weird stuff is going on inside. It's that entire team. I'm telling you, that hotel, that bubble, it is just one trip only. It is one like a Disneyland. What random Waterland is going on? They have like treasure hunts running. People are like taking shirts off in the middle of the day, jumping into the pool, diving down, all kinds of random stuff. The RR YouTube channel is one work of art. Okay, you should just go see it.
Lots of edibles in that bubble, except it's Happy-Lo.
Happy Low, aap bhi pee lo. No, what PGK did not mention about the Dog in the Bone was the way that game ended was Ashwin ran out to Chahal for leaving the line too early. There was... No, I made that up. But all right, we've spoken a lot about cricket today, is what we would like to believe, though we spent most of the time talking about ads and about the appointment of a coach and about the announcement of a retirement and that later getting deleted. This is still very much a cricket podcast. Until episode 20.
Sorry, I was saying that I think by next Saturday we would also know who's in the playoffs as well, for sure.
I think we know that already. But
First 20 minutes talking about what went wrong with RCB. Okay.
We'll see you there. Until then, this is signing off from episode number 19 of Bits and Pieces, your friendly neighborhood cricket podcast. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Until next time, like us, subscribe to us, and keep listening to us. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Podkicker, Podcaster, Anchor FM, Pocket Casts, and Apple iTunes, and also on Android devices. Yeah, nothing else.
If you go on Outer Ring Road and see the billboard, you will see Bits and Pieces as well. Okay.
You will see Ishan Sharma appealing. So,
We are usually at Silkboard Junction on Monday mornings. Yeah.
that's the reason Bangalore comes to a standstill, is because people have stopped at Silkboard Junction to listen to Bits and Pieces. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.